Now, Game Week 30 might have only just begun, but with there being quite a tight turnaround till Game Week 31, I thought in today's video we'd talk through my top transfer targets and the players I'm looking to buy and the teams you need to be looking to target as well. Now, of course, before we dive into today's video, if you do enjoy any of the content that you see on the channel, please be sure to like, comment and subscribe, as we are trying to hit 13,000 subscribers by the end of the season, and it would be absolutely amazing if we could hit that goal. As always, with our transfer targets videos, I like to take a look just at the next game week. I think sometimes we can obviously get lost focusing on future game weeks. So taking a look at Game Week 31, it looks like it could be a very, very good week for Spurs, Newcastle. Liverpool have got a pretty decent fixture against Fulham. Wolves have got their massive relegation clash against Ipswich as well. You feel if Wolves win that, they're probably safe, and the bottom three is confirmed for the remainder of this season. But from an FPL perspective, we are probably, of course, going to be looking at that Newcastle-Leicester fixture, and probably the City-Manchester United one as well, with a lot of us, if you did go on the wildcard, already, of course, having that triple up on Manchester City or potentially double up as well. But of course, most of us will be looking at our Newcastle assets, whether you've wildcarded or not. If you've not obviously got the wildcard left, you will be looking to bring in the likes of course, Alexander Isak, maybe a punt on Anthony Gordon, who we'll talk about a little bit later, Jacob Murphy, and probably a defender to go with that, of course, with their double game week coming up as well. But it's an interesting weekend set of fixtures, to be honest. I'd say outside of those couple that I did mention there, a lot of tight games, obviously a few derbies as well. Palace, Brighton, Manchester United and Manchester City as well as another one. So could be a really interesting week. I think it could play out really nicely, and there is definitely scope to maybe look at alternative captions with, of course, Isak having Leicester on Monday night. But I feel like the consensus pick probably will be Mohamed Salah yet again. In terms of the fixtures then coming up, because I think this is going to be so imperative to know which teams are doubling and where they're going to be doubling. Of course, we are going to use Ben Krellin's amazing spreadsheet. If you want to go and check it out for yourself, I will leave a link to Fantasy Football Hub's amazing website in the description. Head over to there and it's completely free to go and download this. You can download it for yourself, make copies, kind of do whatever you want with it. That's what we've obviously done in this situation. So we of course know the confirmed double for 32, with Crystal Palace having Manchester City and Newcastle of course having Manchester United and Palace. And if I was obviously not on a wild card this week and looking to use my transfers, those would definitely be two teams I would be looking to, of course, load up on as well. Obviously, Newcastle, if you've not got a free hit as well in 34, also have hit Ipswich. No potential double in 33, which is disappointing, but a pretty decent fixture in 34 with Ipswich, so probably maybe makes it worth it in that regard. Of course, we've not got the confirmed doubles for 33 yet. However, the likely doubles are going to be Crystal Palace doubling again, City doubling, Villa doubling, and Arsenal Dublin as well. So these are probably the teams with your transfers that you are going to look to target over the next few weeks. Of course, if you're on a wild card for 31 as well, definitely would be looking at, you know, obviously looking to load up on these teams, especially if you're planning on for a free hit in Game Week 34 as well. The standout fixtures, of course, probably going to be Crystal Palace with back-to-back double game weeks. That's absolutely juicy. So the likes of Munoz, Mateta, definitely going to be in my top options. Then I think you've probably got a pick between Sarr or Eze, which route you want to go down there. Of course, for Arsenal, we have the return of Bukayo Saka, who we're going to talk about. Obviously, you've got their really good defensive players as well to also select from. We do have, of course, Gabriel picking up an injury tonight, which is really disappointing. So we're going to talk through top replacements for him as well in today's video. And then Villa's double is probably not great. Kind of the other side of Champions League football as well could be a real interesting one, whether or not you want to go for potentially many double game week players from Aston Villa, but that's where we are currently right now, and that is the schedule. Obviously, like I said, go and check it out. Head over to the Fantasy Football Hub website. This is going to be your kind of key guide for the remainder of the season, targeting these doubles and making sure you are getting the right players in come the final few game weeks of the season. Let's start off then first with my top defender replacements for Gabriel. Obviously went down holding his hamstring. Didn't look like any sort of contact injury. It was purely just him running, and you can see it just ping, and that's it. That probably is going to be 6 weeks minimum, so that means he's probably going to be out for the double in 33. Probably maybe we might not even see him for the remainder of this season, depending the severity of that injury, to be honest. So obviously we are going to be looking at alternative players to go for. Now, of course, you could stick with the Arsenal players. You know that they're going to potentially have that double in 33. They've, of course, got Ipswich in game week 32, a pretty good fixture. We know how solid they've been defensively as well throughout the course of this season. One of the best sides for XG conceded. The 11-5 models as well that we usually use in these videos also has Arsenal's metrics looking exceptionally good for double game weeks, and of course the remaining kind of 6-5 game weeks as well also looking really, really good. Saliba as well was the second highest for predicted points on the Fantasy Football Hub model. The top one was Gabriel. Obviously that's not factored in his injury, so it still is interesting to see that it is, you know, suggesting that Arsenal defenders are definitely worth some route in. The only concerns I would have with, of course, the Arsenal defenders is how big is that injury going to be for them defensively. Gabriel is such an important and imperative player that has such a big impact on their side. I do think they maybe will see, you know, weaker defensive performances. You've also got to factor in the Champions League coming up. They've got Real Madrid either side of game week 31, which isn't ideal, to be honest. Not 31, 32, sorry. So again, a lot of fixtures there that, you know, or maybe somebody like Timber or Saliba potentially going to get rested for that Ipswich fixture. You're thinking maybe they chuck Kivior in. Ben White's obviously back as well. They've got Lewis Skellier as well, who can also feature at left back. So they've got options if they do want to, of course, go down that route. And maybe that would potentially put me off looking at a replacement for Gabriel if I'm thinking about it deeply. Maybe the Saliba gets the nod, but we've also seen him rotated in certain Premier League and Champions League games this season as well. Moving on to our next player, it is, of course, going to be Ezri Konsa. The reason I like Konsa is he does offer up a decent opportunity to use your bench boost in 32. Of course, if you wanted to play that, Southampton away, pretty decent fixture. Again, though, that is kind of around Champions League football for Villa, so might not even be available to play in that fixture because obviously could be again subject to some sort of rotation. The beautiful thing that I like about Konsa though is he is one of those players that does seem to be the first name on the team sheet for Unai Emery, so I probably would say that I think he's probably a safer bet than somebody like a Digne or any other sort of player within that regard. Of course, then they've got the double in 33, which is very, very nice to see as well. It's not the most ideal, but again, for 4.4 million, I don't think you're going to complain too much. Munoz, I feel like a lot of people will already have him. If you've not already got him, what are you doing? Of course, there's cheaper Palace defenders if you didn't want to go for it. But the reason I like Munoz so much is, as you can see here, his expected goal involvement per 90 is absolutely ridiculous. Better than Gavardiol, who was very, very hyped heading into this game week. Obviously, is still yet to play as well in game week 30, so it'll be very interesting to see if he can improve that and get more attacking returns as well. 8 already so far for him this season, the most out of anybody on this list. That is why I would probably say if you've not got him, get him. Purely down to the fact that they could have, you know, double back-to-back game weeks as well. Really good attacking wise and really good underlying data to kind of back that up as well. And the predicted points as well. Very similar to William Saliba. No Champions League football as well for him. The interesting route I think you could also go down is potentially looking at a double up on City defenders. Now, I know a lot of people probably already have Gavardiol invested in their side. Now, you do have Kuznov or you do have the route to go for Diaz as well as a potential second City defender. That could be an interesting replacement. The beautiful thing that I do like about that is, of course, you know, Manchester City have a pretty decent double game week in 33. Would look pretty decent. Their fixtures following 33 as well are really, really good. They've got to play Southampton. They've got a good set of greens following on from that as well. So probably would mean that you wouldn't have to look at, of course, any transfers following on from that. They also potentially have another double in 36. And that is why I think I might, for my personal own team, look at somebody like Kuznov or, of course, Ruben Diaz as my Gabriel replacement. It would give me enough money to potentially go and get Bukayo Saka in the side as well if I was to drop them down that far for Gabriel. We'd have plenty of money to play with, and I think it would probably put us in a decent position where, you know, we got an extra City defender in. They'd have potentially 2 doubles that we could take advantage of in 33 and 36. So I really do like the potential of going for a City double up in terms of defence. Like I said, the fixtures leading into it, 31 and 32, aren't the most ideal fixtures defensively. And of course, City's defensive kind of numbers this season have been questionable. But I definitely like that ability to go for the double City defence with, of course, a double in 33 and potentially 36 as well. The final player is going to be Dan Burn. Good fixture in 31. Of course, the double in 32. And if you've not got that free hit in game week 34, then they do have a pretty decent fixture with Ipswich at home as well in game week 34. A really, really good fixture. Of course, I went with Dan Burn on my wildcard over Livramento, purely down to the fact that I think his minutes are definitely more secure with that Botman injury as well. Lewis Hall out. I think, yeah, he's probably going to be featuring at centre-back or is also available to play left-back as well. So I think Dan Burn also is a really, really good option, of course, if you've got that spare Newcastle slot available. Let's keep the show rolling on then. Let's talk about Bukayo Saka up next. Obviously came back from a long, lengthy absence, 101 days, I do believe, and managed to get himself on the score sheet instantly. And I think a lot of people are going to be looking at him. And the thing that I would say with him is, like I said, he's just come back from a very, very long injury. If you've looked at some of the quotes that Arteta has said around him, he's also going to start to ease him and maybe manage his minutes a little bit more sustainably over kind of this comeback period that he's in. And you look at the fixtures coming up, they've got Everton at the weekend, early kickoff. Then on Tuesday, they've got a massive clash against Real Madrid. So maybe he sees 60, 70 against Everton, or maybe he doesn't even start again. Then following on, they've got an evening fixture against Brentford. Then they're back away at Madrid on the Wednesday. Then they play the Ipswich. Then, of course, they would have the other double that midweek as well. So you do feel like if you went for Saka, maybe he misses out on the potential Ipswich fixture. Or maybe he misses out on one of the Brentford games, because I don't see him being dropped for the Real Madrid ones. And I think if they are going to manage his minutes more sustainably, you do feel like looking at the Brentford or the Ipswich fixture is probably going to be one of the fixtures where it goes, or it's going to be the other fixture that goes into the double game week 33, where potentially they could drop him and like I said, manage his minutes a little bit more wisely. Not saying Saka is not a bad player, not by any stretch of the means. He is absolutely fantastic. I'm just highlighting the point that I think this is the concern I was having with him on the wild card. He's just come back from a lengthy layoff. There's a lot of games coming up. They're going to be playing Saturday, Tuesday, Saturday, Wednesday, Sunday, probably Wednesday or Thursday again if that fixture does go into that midweek bracket. How many of those are we going to see Saka play, or at least be starting every single one? I don't think there is going to be all of them. And I think with the Champions League being so important, with of course the big gap that Liverpool have got at the top of the Premier League, I think if Arsenal win the next few games, they get themselves pretty much comfortable in second. I think he probably maybe misses out on the Ipswich game, or maybe the potential different, like the Brentford fixture, for example, or doesn't start the fixture at the weekend. That is my only concern on Bukayo Saka. Other than that, we all know what he's capable of. Absolutely amazing player. The fixtures definitely from a Premier League perspective are also there as well, with Ipswich and Brentford, and of course that potential double second fixture heading into game week 33. But let me know what your thoughts are on Bukayo Saka right now. I do think his minutes are potentially a little bit dicey, but he is one of those players that he proved today that even when he's got limited minutes coming off the bench, he can still produce moments of magic and really, really make it count when it is needed. Moving on then to our final set of players before we head into the predicted points, heading into game week 31 and beyond. It is going to be Anthony Gordon and Jacob Murphy. I was getting so many questions about this one in my deadline stream today, asking which one would you rather go for the next few weeks. And I would actually probably say Jacob Murphy is going to be the pick that I would recommend. As you can see, over the past kind of 5 to sort of 6-ish game weeks here, there's not really too much to split between the two, and that's kind of been the case throughout the entire season, to be honest. It's not the same Anthony Gordon we saw last year. He's not absolutely bagging points for fun, picking them up. He's not really justifying his 7 million price tag. Murphy at 5 million feels like an absolute great steal. His minutes are really, really secure. Of course, he's got that Leicester fixture. The beautiful thing as well is we know Murphy's probably going to be fine heading into game week 31. There are still doubts about Anthony Gordon's ankle. There was a comment that came out around Eddie Howe today saying there's a little bit of swelling on his ankle, or kind of bruising. That doesn't sound great considering the fixture. Of course, it is Monday, but still, it's not like an ideal time period for that to kind of just go down or disappear. I think they will try and get him back so he's ready and available for, of course, the doubles in 32. But I think right now I probably would select Jacob Murphy ahead of Anthony Gordon. I think Anthony Gordon might potentially be one of those that we do see a little bit further later down the line as a potential option. But I think for right now, if I was to take the pick, with of course the information that we've been given, I probably would go for Jacob Murphy. But those are all the players. Let's head into the predicted points. And finishing up today's video, let's take a look at the predicted points over the next 5 game weeks. No real shock to see Alexander Isak there with, of course, a real delicious double game week and, of course, a great fixture in 34. He's definitely one of the players that I would be looking to pick up over the next few weeks. Salah's still there despite no Liverpool double. That's pretty much what Mohamed Salah is doing this season, being an absolute menace. Cole Palmer's interesting there. Still there. They've actually got some good fixtures leading into this, and I do feel like if you went for Palmer on the wild card, I wouldn't be too disheartened with, of course, the Saka performance tonight. We've still got Cole Palmer to play. They've still got to get Ipswich as well, and I do feel like Cole Palmer, with Jackson being back, should hopefully be a better asset. It's not like he's been kind of like a big drop off. I think it's maybe a bit of confidence. The international break maybe will have helped him and definitely got him sort of kind of set and on the right track over the next few weeks. Mateta's there, obviously, with the bed potentially back-to-back doubles. Really, really interesting. And it's also interesting that the predicted points as well is also favouring Jacob Murphy over Anthony Gordon as well. So I don't really think it's worth paying that extra 2.4 million for me, in my personal opinion. I just don't. So I would definitely probably say go for Jacob Murphy ahead of Anthony Gordon. Same goes with Sarr and Eze. We can't even see Eze on this list, but Sarr 100% would be a player I would definitely be looking at. And Saka is there towards the bottom, but I definitely expect him to shoot up probably to around where Jacob Murphy, Mateta are within the next few weeks, probably when these predicted points do update again heading into game week 31. With, of course, him playing now, the algorithm will probably start to kick in a little bit, but maybe it might undervalue him as well, and kind of do a little bit of analysis that I did, looking at the fixtures, looking at the comments from Arteta, and maybe deciding that his minutes might not be as secured as we once thought. But that was today's who to buy transfer targets video. Of course, if you did enjoy any of the content that you see on the channel, please be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. But thank you very much for watching today, ladies and gentlemen, and good luck in game week 31.